Oh, hi everybody. So as you may already know, if you follow our social media feeds, myself and a couple of members of our team were down at the Landlords Conference on Tuesday in Birmingham, held by the NRLA. And I just want to give you some feedback on some of the things we learned on the day, as there was a couple of great speeches from Michael Gove, the Housing Minister, and Clive Betts, the Labour MP, who's also the chair of the Housing, Communities and Local Government Select Committee. So both very heavily involved in the Renter Reform Bill, which had actually had its second reading in Parliament the day before the conference. So there was quite a lot of new information that came out on the day. First thing I'd like to say is what really came across was what a great job the NRLA doing on behalf of landlords. Both of the politicians were very complimentary on the work the NRLA had done, the information that they put forward to help with the bill and to put the case forward for landlords and why some of the changes did help us, why some of the changes didn't. And both politicians, as I say, were very complimentary about the work that they'd done and the information that they brought to the table. It also came across that politicians from all sides recognise the value of the PRS sector, but similarly they understand that change is needed, and they're probably correct in that. I mean, we've had no reform or no large legal reform in the sector since 1987, so it is well overdue. However, what is still very contentious based on the questions in the room and the feedback from everybody is that the areas they've decided to reform are not necessarily ones that landlords were looking for. But the argument is, I suppose, some reform is better than none, and anything that brings the market up to date and in line with the way people live and move around now should help everybody. But the biggest piece of news that really came out of it was, if you're not aware already, the government have now decided to delay the abolition of Section 21. So although the bill may come in next year, the removal of Section 21 will not. The reason being, the government have now understood that the courts are massively overworked. They have real problems in dealing with cases in the time that's required, and this does not help landlords or tenants, to be fair. So what they're going to do is delay the abolition of Section 21 until they feel the courts are up to date with their workload and better processes are in place. Now, there's two reasons. One big reason they've done that is they understand that once the bill does come in, they are expecting there to be a lot of housing disputes, particularly from tenants who won't have the fear of Section 21 hanging over them. There's a chance they're more likely to make complaints about their living standards if they're not up to scratch, as they rightly should do, because they won't have the fear that there'll be revenge evictions using Section 21 because that'll be taken away from landlords. So once the bill comes in its full force, there is a danger that there will be a lot more housing disputes and the courts will be even more overworked. So until that is put right and there's more resources in place to deal with housing issues, then Section 21 won't be removed. What they haven't really done, to my understanding, is issue any sort of KPIs and what measures they feel mean that the courts are no longer overworked. What is it that ensures that the courts can handle cases quickly? But I'm sure that will be released in good time. They did also acknowledge that there is still an issue with the student housing sector and the fact that they're looking to put all tenancies on periodic unless it's purpose-built student accommodation. They do recognise that as an issue. However, they did still seem to feel there is a grey area on whether a property is PBSA or a HMO. Personally, I don't feel it needs to be. I think it could be very clear and obvious if you're renting to a student, and if you are renting to a student, you should be able to put them on a fixed term AST. I think it's very easy to work out if the tenant that's moving in is a student or not. But it sounds like there is more work to be done on that before, again, the bill is passed. But they were the two main things that came out. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. We will, of course, keep you up to date with any changes that happen to the Renter Reform Bill or anything else in the letting sector, as you know. Best way to keep in touch is follow our socials so we can inform you of anything that changes as soon as we know. Thanks a lot.